Hello, hello, hello. All right, what's up, Ron? I see you in there. So far, we've got nobody. Okay. Yeah, it was kind of a last minute decision to come on.
Yeah, it's late.
Um, yeah, it was late. I mean, it was literally decided, a couple hours ago, Johnny. I was actually gonna, we contacted you the last few days, back and forth, and tonight I missed coming on your show, although I did see it. And one of your guests actually brought up the video I'm going to play. And so she's kind of like the one that inspired this for whatever reason. So okay, so for you, those of you who are here, and those of you that'll be here and watch this on replay or whatever, thank you for coming. Tonight I have a special guest, Johnny Mack, and I want to say special. If you guys don't know anything about our history, Johnny, who first reached out to you? Who had that start? You remember?
Oh boy, I think I reached out to you, and what the hell was it over?
I know what it was. I just remembered. So it was me and the issues with my family, I think. And I don't think you appreciated the way I was saying some of the stuff. And you, if
no,
this
before
is
that, no, before that, it was because I spoke to you before you ever went on Lee Cole's show.
okay,
And,
you were in the chat. Weren't you in the chat room one time and kind of making some remarks? And I was commenting on you, like, and then you like hit me up and said, "Man, like I respect the way you said," or something like that, right?
yep. And then we started to talk, and then we got sucked into the whole back and forth with the whole mob genre.
Sure. So okay, so I forgot what it was, but I mean, look, people get a lot of criticism on YouTube putting themselves out there. You know what I mean? And um, you had some valid points. You were hitting me kind of hard, if I recall. I don't remember the exact ones, but one of the things that I used to do a lot was I gave people that criticized me like too much attention, but you criticized me in a way that like wasn't being too far out there, but you were kind of like hitting me. You know what I mean? Kind of like antagonizing me.
Well,
But
it takes one to know one, bro. Like I
dude,
understand addiction and that type of stuff. So like I've
absolutely.
I see we're very much alike in a lot of ways, and
So
yep,
many. Yeah.
yep. So that people don't realize that kind of helped me a little bit. I
Yeah,
have to admit.
sure. So we end up talking, and I've said it many times before, even in our darker days, that no matter what happened between us and the times that we beefed or said bad things about one another, I still like couldn't, like I always had a thing for you because we bonded over the first couple conversations about addiction, which
Yep.
kind of brings us full circle here tonight. So I just wanted to say that within the last couple weeks, couple months, whatever, I've talked to you, and you've been somebody that's listened to me, and I do appreciate that. And I really don't care what anybody in MOBTUBE or YouTube or anything has to say as far as my friendships are feeling towards you. I thank you and I appreciate that.
No problem.
So let's go ahead because it'll be able to enter like I said in the description, the segue about MOBTUBE. I think we'll start off there before I get into the video because the video might overshadow some things. I agreed to go on your show, I remember, and things were cool. And you were, I think you were friends at the time with the guy named SoFlo. I'm not going to say like you blindsided me because I don't think that's what happened. But that guy came on, and I remember he was like talking some crazy stuff, right? and I think go ahead.
I was not expecting that, like that, to
Yeah.
be honest, that was very disrespectful. Anybody to come on somebody's show and to pull that, knowing that it was an interview, regardless of what other issues or topics were being discussed around the community, there's a
Right.
time and a place for everything. So to bombard somebody's channel like that, and I think at the time he was offering you money to come right on to his show right away.
So we had a few things. We had some back and forth, and the interview was going really good. And like I said, you guys were friendly. And even though well, you apologized after he got off, like you called me and said, "Look, I didn't expect that." So what had happened was SoFlo wanted me on his show, and at the time I had the History Channel producers were coming to this house, and I had like a lot going on in those 4 or 5 days. And I was trying to explain them to him, like I would go on your show, but he wouldn't let me talk. And he started calling me like a bitch and, you know, this, all kinds of stuff. But I was still like, okay, they started offering me money, you know, I'll give you $500. And I was like trying to tell him, dude, I don't want your money. I'll go on, just give me a second. And then he just went total south, I guess, for the first channel, because it was on his channel too or whatever, which whatever. And then that, so it was the Lee Cole first, I think, then you, and that's what, well, let me back up. So I jumped into the MOBTUBE thing over Jimmy Calandra, and that was an accident. Jimmy Calandra was a growing channel at the time. He testified against a friend of mine named Tommy Reynolds, and I did an unfavorable video, kind of like a psychological analysis of him, and it blew up. I didn't expect it to, you know.
Well, it was
and
it was very much on point. And like you were saying the things that other people were scared to say or didn't want to say or didn't have a voice to say. And finally, a platform was putting out facts. So I just wanted to interject. Sorry.
Okay, no, go anytime. Yeah, I mean, that's we're here doing this together. So that's how I stepped into it. And then I guess he had some people that he was helping in channel wise, and then they attacked me. You know what I mean? And then at that time, what was also going in my life, if I recall, and with the show we're talking about addiction, that's when I started really progressing with the drinking and the beginning of drug use and stuff like that. So and this has come up at my court recently, and I'll get into that later, but the government officials, many of them watched my channel in the beginning. I had a voice for criminal justice reform. I had book deals. I had a lot of things positive going on for me, and criminal justice reform was a passion of mine. But as I was succumbing to addiction issues, and I got involved in the MOBTUBE, I mean, I was like in my element. Like it started becoming fun for me to talk shit, you know? And yeah, sure, I got my feelings sometimes, because you know how this is. People can get in their feelings, but it was easier to get involved and sucked into that than to like have to think about content. You know what I'm saying? And it got kind of fun for me, you know? Although at the same time, it was creating bad blood and energy for my marriage, for probation. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you do I was sentenced to life without the possibility of release. I was given a compassionate release. So I was given a break. And then I come out and I start smashing government informants and this and that. And you know what I'm saying? You look at it from their eyes, it's kind of like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I kind of just took down that path. And again, I can't say that I didn't have fun. I did lose credibility in the criminal justice reform arena and others' eyes. But hey, you know, I've lost more credibility for the addiction issues that came later, and that I'll be talking about. And this video that I'll be showing is, I'm going to tell you, it's one of the most embarrassing video I ever did. I remember doing it. I don't remember my demeanor, the way I sounded. I was hallucinating. And when your guest just a few hours ago mentioned it, and I was trying to think of the topic we were going to talk about, which I knew was going to, you know, be something about addiction and our history in the mob, it was like now is the time. You know what I mean? So I thought that was pretty on point. Anyway, so before I go there, I do want to get some. I've said before on this channel that I'm not going to go back down the mob, and I'm not the MOBTUBE thing with battling everybody. So if people get upset for anything that's said by me or you tonight, I'm gonna overlook it. But your channel has taken a different turn too. You do talk about some of these guys. They talk about you. You hit back. They're like me. If somebody hits you, that's where you go with it. And I will say that I have not been watching the YouTube, especially MOBTUBE stuff like I have. I did watch one of Angel's shows recently. I did watch a couple of Lee and James, and I've watched about 3 or 4 of yours now. And you've got a voice that you can carry other things as well. But having said that, some things have happened with you that I think you want to address, or I would like you to address them. And I'd like to start off with Chris, if you can.
Tell
me what you're comfortable with or not, because we did not discuss anything about this.
in a nutshell, what happened with the whole the MOBTUBE thing is that there was a few people that have gotten comfortable with attacking families and taking it real life and doing things that really are classless and tasteless and don't really help too much when you're trying to one up somebody on YouTube. You do stuff like that, it's kind of self-defeating, you know. So this gentleman was once he was attacking me because he couldn't get a pound of flesh off of Tony Pizza. So for some reason, since he saw me in his chat, I became the target. So anyways, he was going after my wife, putting up pictures of her, putting up pictures of my in-laws, and then a threat was made that he was going to upload pornographic images of my children, which they don't exist, but they would be.
Wait, this is FBS now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, go ahead.
So so they would be fabricated, of course, but still, even fabricated photos or whatever can hurt somebody's livelihood down the road. So it's like, so I figured, okay, let's subtract the audience here, right? And go there as a father and talk with this guy and see if we can, by subtracting the audience, can we kind of like put this shit to bed once and for all, and that's that. But that's not what happened. I showed up, the guy rushed me, and he did not get the upper hand. I did, and that was that. Now there's charges and all kinds of bullshit that, so whatever. It is what it is. But that's what happened is, I stood up for my family. I'm not gonna, any real man, real father would do the same thing. Bottom line.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, so my life's had a lot of twists and turns in the last year or so. So like I said, I was oblivious to a lot of this stuff, right? And I forgot who mentioned it first. And then I talked to you for a second. Now let me say something about FBS, Chris. So Chris, kind of around this same time, SoFlo took off attacking me because they were Jimmy Calandra's friends, I guess. I'm not gonna demean. And by the way, real quick, Ron Gross, I have a thing up on the screen that says the videos driving to Texas was way worse. Thank goodness your wife took it down. Ron, that's the video I'm gonna play, bro. Okay. And it was the worst ever. And I did reach out and I let her know because I wasn't trying to create bad blood, but there's a purpose to it. Okay. And it's not good, but there is a reason, and it's part of my it's become part of my court hearings. Okay. Which I'll talk about, but you're absolutely right. Okay. So Chris and I went back and forth, and I had some fun. I made some spoof stuff about him and Jimmy and this and that. And he actually, we had talked once upon a time, and he kind of gave me my props and said it was funny. And maybe it was you that got us talking, Johnny. I don't remember.
Yes. Yeah. People were, I remember specifically, I was actually on vacation when that conversation happened. People were sending you pictures of his daughter, and yes. I intervened, yes. And I got you guys talking in order to preserve his daughter. I actually looked out for him. And I've gotten heat for it. Probably 4 times I did videos, and then I would come back and apologize, because when I have a chance to reflect and I think something's wrong, I even though it hurt a few times, I'm man enough to go ahead and say that I did something wrong. I do believe that saying the things that I did, and I'm not going to go back over about his daughter, was wrong. I remember afterwards he said some more stuff, and I maybe made a few more comments being a belligerent idiot. But we had some really good conversations, and I forgot when it was that he said something again about me, but I was kind of shocked about it. But I don't listen. That's neither here nor there. I'm just kind of going over some history as I remember it, and like I said, what you guys got going on, I get it. I respect your opinion. I haven't talked to him. I don't know that side, but I understand that there's charges been filed, for sure. So yeah, I get that. Now, I know that you were also friends one time with SoFlo,
And I don't know if you want to talk about that, because on your channel, I saw some people saying stuff back and forth. And I don't know what's going on with that whatsoever. If you want to even say,
Sure.
it's up to you.
Yeah, that's kind of the point where, all this the beefing kind of took off, and I was kind of like associated with those guys
Yes.
at the time. And I even met the guy in Florida, and lo and behold, he was filming. He had more footage of my wife's ass than he had of me. I mean, while he's sitting there with his woman, he's filming my woman. Kind of creepy, but then he put that shit up on his channel, thinking that was hilarious and funny, and that was a good thing to do, because that would upset me or whatever. So then he went. Me and him went back and forth for a while. He went so far as to even call my daughter up and threaten to rape her on the phone.
What?
Yes, he did. He did.
Okay.
So here recently, he made this huge public apology, and a guy by the name of Beck Brooklyn convinced me to hear him out. He wanted to apologize, so I listened to him, and he went into great detail in this apology. But then here, just a week ago, he said that he didn't mean that apology. He suckered me, and it was all bullshit. And so, that kind of undoes what I thought was a meaningful apology. So like those guys, I've completely kind of like iced them out, and it's been like, that's my decision. And I've kind of like backed off of them the last couple of weeks. They're really trying to get me to engage, and they're going with the family stuff again. And, it's just like you said, you're going to overlook it, and there's no reason to do a replay of last year. I'm not going to give it to them either.
Okay. Yeah, no, cool. So my decision, I'm gonna, in full disclosure, like I said, so me entering the MOBTUBE genre and the shit talking that I did, and I took a lot of those videos down, by the way. There's still a few up, but I really got into it. It did. I'll never forget my wife coming home and saying, this house is full of bad energy, and it upset her. First, like with the Jimmy thing, okay, I had her, I failed miserably at that, because there was like this whole thing where I could have made these t-shirts, don't be a Jimmy. That was an accident, but I procrastinated like I've been doing with a lot of other things in my life. But having said that, there is one thing I do want to say about SlowFlo, and I have to give him his props on this. We, after SlowFlo did what he did on the channel, we've gotten little beefs back and forth, talk some cash shit, I talk some cash shit back. When it comes to the video that I'm going to play here, eventually here tonight, not long from now, he didn't take off on me as bad as I thought, or as bad as he could. I watched those after I got out of jail, and there were some people that really took off. And I'm going to say, I'll say it again probably a few times, I had no idea what I looked like on that video. I swear I even did interviews from jail and justified and stuck up for that video, and was angry at my wife for taking it down. And then and then I talked about it when I got out. And then one day on my laptop, I think it was after we separated, or maybe right before, I found it and I watched it. And I'm not going to lie, I cried. I could not believe it. I swear to God, it was like, then I remember what Chad was saying when I was in jail, because he was like trying to get me to say like I regretted it and stuff, and I didn't. And even Lee Cole did, and I didn't get it, man. I did not get it. And of course, it came up at my court hearing. Government officials watch this channel, rightly so. I'm on supervised release, and they brought it up, and I was thinking they were just picking out some bad spots, like, okay, why don't you tell the whole thing? My God, how out of my freaking mind I was. And it's embarrassing. A lot of people are not going to understand what I'm saying. I'm going to explain. There's some things that are going to be shocking to people. I'll see how far I go with it, but it's come up a couple times. It came up the other day. Got my supervised release hearing was mentioned, and I think it's relevant here tonight. Again, so SoFlo didn't take off me that hard, and I couldn't believe it. And real quick, and I'll get off of him. I was poised to really go after him at one point. I have still have media contacts in the right places. I flaked out a lot, so my credibility's been ruined. I've reached out to them several times throughout the years, and people that are producers, editors, they make money off you. So if you tell them you're going to do something, they expect it to be done, and I never fall through. But I contacted local reporters around his area. I found out whereabouts where he lived, and I was going to do something about him. He made a comment that he beat a woman, and there's all this stuff. And I had gotten some really high-profile people involved, and never came to fruition. But I mean, it was getting ready to get like I was getting ready to go for the jugular on that. I even had, and then Mickey Blade, I think was one of his friends. They were doxing me or something. I had these homeless people all around Fort Smith holding up signs like, "Don't be Mickey Blade, don't be so." I mean, I like went all out, but at the same time, I was I don't know if spun's the exact word, because when I do drugs, I mix them, but I was going further into my addiction, and it fell through. That's the truth. I had some women's organizations in Fort Smith I talked to that were basically crying when I showed them clips of what he said. And, you know, I was going to come at him from that angle, and it just never did. I'm glad I did it now. It came up at my first court hearing, you know, how disappointed some people were with my videos, and I took it to heart. And even though I teetered back and forth, when I got out of jail in June, I said I wouldn't do it. And then some issues happened with me, Lee Cole. I did some videos about him again, and then I backed up. But I actually have a couple spoof videos of Lee that I've never aired, and I'm not going to. Lee just actually put a comment in my comment section the other day, and I couldn't believe it's pretty good. But I'm not trying to hold grudges with other people. I've even said that people can find some good in Jimmy Calandra, and I know some people get mad at that. Jimmy Calandra was a good storyteller. I just realized that there was a lot of stuff that wasn't true, and I happen to know a lot of the guys he was talking about, and that's where all that went. But getting off that now, Johnny, I do remember something, and that was you telling me at one time, and I remember the players, the guys that you were. I think there was phone calls that used to be made. I don't know that. Maybe SoFlo. I'm just going to think Chris, Kevin, Code. I think maybe not Code. By the way, Code, we've been back and forth. I like Code a lot. Been respectful. Kevin kind of cut my throat, but whatever. That's just part of the thing. The genre, it gets slimy, you know, and that's with everything. And I don't have no real bad blood towards him either. I haven't talked to either one, Code, for a long time. If he's listening, Code, I'd like to say hi. But I do remember that you even said, like you said that you thought that they were all turning on you. That's been a long time, if you remember. And I think that they were kind of going after you for, you know what I mean, behind your back or whatever. But again, I'm really not. I'm trying to go through more of the. I was going to say procedural because I've been in court too much lately, but I'm trying to go through the history just for people that might not know, and to say where I'm at today, where you're at today, and all that other stuff. And there's people that are interested in what's happened for sure. So that's about it. So let's go back and do this. So we first started talking about addiction when we first started talking, right? And to be honest, I don't remember. I know I was talking to you about some things. I don't remember if you were one of the people that I was totally forthcoming with. Of course, I want to say this. I'm on federal supervised release. I've tried to be as honest as I can on YouTube. Of course, there are times when I couldn't be, or downplayed, or outright lied about using. One of the things that used to get me off, and this was my ego maybe, people would accuse me of being on like opiates, for example, but I was on meth. People would accuse me of being on meth, but I was on opiates. And that used to like really get me off because like they didn't have it figured out. Very few had it down right because I mixed at times. It wasn't like every day steadily, you know, so people would say like I was on shit when I wasn't. You called me out one time that was probably the most on point, and it was about drinking. People were saying other things, and that was like, wow, you know. But we started talking about addiction, and you told me your history. Do you want to go through your history? I mean, is it okay or what?
I mean, yeah, we can. I mean, I also have the addiction in my past, and they did the same thing to me, man. Like I told some of my history and health issues and on an addiction and recovery show, and it was weaponized by trolls and miserable people on YouTube that, well, they'll use that for ammo. Anything they can use, hold against you. And that's, I mean, I know that's the nature of the beast, but yeah, I have similar problems in history, and
Sure.
that with the ongoing health issues was two of the things that we kind of bonded over, you know.
Yes. Okay. That's right. And I think I remember saying something because people said Johnny smacked this and that. I think I did, and I also remember like, wait a minute, I'm going after this dude. That wasn't cool. I think I even said that, and I stopped saying like Johnny's. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because of the conversations that we had, and I caught myself, and I'm like, hey, wait, and knowing inside what I was doing and lying, by the way, to my wife about it. She had no clue for a year and a half, and got on YouTube and defended me, and that was probably one of the lowest points in my life. I'll never forget. People were kind of hitting me, were using. Had a big deal with my family members. A couple of them reached out to different people and said something, and I'll never forget doing a live with her and her saying something. I'm going to paraphrase, like, I would know, Rob doesn't do that, and I just was crushed. She didn't know until the day probation sent me to rehab. Went to rehab the first time, and it's never, there's a lot of damage there, and I regret that terribly. And it's just one of those. I just, Anyway, real quick, the truth. I have something on the screen. It says, I've heard that content creators of MOBTUBE land scheme, collude, hold sit downs, and engage in other such tactics as they vie for the crown of MOBTUBE. I never have been behind the scenes. Do you know anything about? You want to make a comment, Johnny, or not?
Well, they do that. I mean,
Okay.
they behind the scenes is basically they do a
Agreed.
lot of collaborating and plotting on people, and I'm not a part of that group of people anymore, man. I've kind of backed away from that, and ironically, that those people have all see what happened was I tried to leave the community, and I went into another community, and so a couple of communities have combined the mob community, and they call them bottom feeders, and that's not kind of a derogatory word for them. It was the 90-day community. So there's it's like a women's community, and then the mob community kind of mixed together like oil.
Really?
And water. Yeah. Yeah.
Explain that to me, because I don't know anything about that, if you will.
Okay. Quick. So what happened was I wanted to do some paranormal content and I was introduced to somebody. Her channel is Simply Sophie, and I still do shows with her. But what happened was there was a few people like SoFlo who saw that I was having new people in my chat. My numbers were going up. And right away, his eyes got beadier and beadier because I told you they were trying to turn on me. I was still not beefing with them at the time. I was trying to get away, gradually and just do my own thing. So as they followed me and the communities kind of naturally, all the people I was friends with, were on my side. And then all the people that didn't like them went to SoFlo's side. Then it turned into two huge factions of people. Actually, it was broken up into several. So anyways, a year has gone by, and basically everybody's landed where they've landed. And ironically, you got all the people that were doing the nasties have all kind of organically clumped together. And they're the ones that are still attacking families. And, what are you going to do? It's birds of a feather, bro. It happens. Okay. It happens. It's a nature's law, bro. It happens anyway. So.
Okay. So on that note, and real quick, so the truth, I want to say something. So I didn't know the behind the scenes thing, like what I have up on the screen, but I would notice that in one day, especially when it came to the Calandra, that Jimmy, and I'm not trying to, I swear to God, I'm not trying. I would notice that he would go on different shows, but not his own. On his show that he would say one thing more positive, then he'd go use other people's channels. And all these people, 5 of them would come after me at one time, in one day. And like I said, I relished and I loved that, to be honest. And of course, I was lubricated with alcohol or whatever. And it was it was part of it was part of the disease, I guess you would say, for real. By the way, somebody said something about no pictures. I got a video I'm going to put up. That's one of the reasons. In full disclosure, because I have to say something to probation and stuff. So I had bladder cancer. I had some tumors removed. Was it yesterday? Today or the day before? Thursday. Yesterday. Okay. Yeah. Duh.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I have I've had recurring bladder cancer. It was my 24th reoccurrence, and what they did this time, because the tumor 2 years ago dove deeper into my bladder, which is not good. I thought to this, like to right now, I don't know what they removed from my bladder. They have to do the biopsy, but I thought it was 1 to 2 tumors. Now, my mom went with me and talked to the doctor afterwards. I was out of it. You know, they get you all, you take the Michael Jackson juice and whatever opiate they give you. So I was out of it. And my mom told me today I was looking for the paperwork to send to probation and to my lawyer, to the courts, because they're, you know, I'm actually was able to stay out right now to get my cancer and chemo dealt with. And my mom pops off and says that the doctor said that they cleaned your bladder real good. Now, the only other time I've ever heard that was when I had multiple tumors. So it kind of threw me off a bit because I thought it was like 1, maybe 2. And earlier today, usually what happens after a cancer surgery is there's blood, little bits of blood, and then they cauterize whatever they cut out, so it scabs up and eventually comes off, and there'll be some more blood. So today, and then they gave me chemo for the first time. So they shot chemo after they took the stuff out. Well, chemo burns your urethra, okay? So there's medicine they've given me that's non-narcotic, and they've given me Percocet 3.25 milligram. Let me say something about that. My mom did that, by the way, to try to talk the doctors out of giving me any pain meds, which I need them for a day sometimes. The burning right now is pretty severe because of the chemo. And earlier, I had what it would be considered in the medical terminology, gross amounts of blood coming out of me. I may go to the doctor tomorrow and may have a catheter put in me because it's a lot, but I'm saying this for a reason. I took what's the name of it? It's a non-narcotic, but it soothes the burning feeling. And my face has turned red as a result of taking too many. I even called the ER. And I was telling Johnny before I went on, I said, I'm going to put this video up. I said, but my face is like, my cheeks are like bright red right now. I don't want to hear the people's bullshit. And I'm just saying, I didn't have to say that right now. But for somebody said no picture, I didn't want to take away from the video, but like I got like almost like allergic reaction. And as far as the perks, usually they give me 10 milligrams. They give me 3.25s, 4 times a day or something. The nurse told me to double up on them. I have a high tolerance. So if I was like in prison getting Percocet, it would be like 4 to 8, 10 milligrams. So like I even said to her, like, you know, this doesn't do nothing for pain because the pain is burning. It's totally different. And so, like I said, my face is puffed out from the it starts with the pH. I forgot what the hell it was called. But the main point was the video when it's up. I wanted us to have the little avatars because I didn't want to take away from the big part of the video. And I'm like beaming red in my cheeks and the top of my head. It's crazy right now. I look like a freaking tomato. So, and I just wanted to throw that out there. Screw it, because I got to tell my PO about it anyway. And I might have a catheter put in me tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to. So we'll see. So yeah, there's that, because people ask me about the health updates all the time, and that's what's going on. Okay. Thank goodness you didn't introduce fraud on the street, destroyed all your credibility. Stop it. Don't talk shit about people. Well, hold on real quick. Well, who will be the Charlie Bucket of MOBTUBE? I don't know. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Okay, so Johnny, yeah. So I guess with that being said, let me go ahead and go a little bit further. So in April of last year, as I was using more and more, and I had, well, when I went to court, and James Proctor and Lee Cole, and I'm not saying nothing bad, James Proctor reached out to me when I was in jail. He wrote a really good letter for me as far as support for the court. was able to talk to the judge's clerk. And when my violations came out, he aired them first. There was like 10. I think it was 8 dirty urines over a year period, which, by the way, let me say something about federal supervised release. A lot of the jurisdictions are different. My jurisdiction in most these days they are not trying to put people in prison until they exhaust all the tools in their toolbox, would be the word they would use. In my case, I was let out on compassionate release. I had life without parole. And there's a lot of people that knew the support I had/have, and were really wanting to see me succeed. So when I went to court the first time, what happened was the judge reduced my sentence to 25 years rather than give me a compassionate release off the life sentence. It's important to note because I was actually given 649 days plus the time I did in the county jail, which is about 60 days. So I had an upward variance, but the BOP comes back and says that I had almost 2 years vested good time. So rather than letting me have a get out of jail free card, if I did it again, the judge gave me all the good time credit, so I couldn't use it if I go back again, or if I went in front of them again. And they gave me a couple year sentence, whatever it was, but I only did 60 something days. Now, one of the things he said was he wasn't going to be as tolerant. Now, let me say this again. Most judges, and what I've seen, the average is usually like 5, but it depends on the person's background, characteristics, violence. My entire criminal history is 2 prior drug convictions, and then I got, of course, the 3rd strike, which gave me life. So there was never violence, there was never weapons. I'm not downplaying the significance of my drug trafficking. I'm just stating the facts. I don't know. I'm not in the judge's head or my probation officer. They know me well. I think I know them a little bit. So they've tried. I went to rehab the first time, did well, but gambling entered my life, and with gambling, desperation. When I left rehab, I had a lot of financial problems. That's not an excuse why I relapsed whatsoever. That's what happened. Marital problems because of lying about my drug and gambling and other things, and started back on a path. Now, people might have seen me on YouTube, and I was forthcoming. There's videos about when me and my wife separated. I came down to the house, which I'm sitting in right now. We lived in 2 different places together, on and off. But I ended up back down in Hartford, Arkansas, the town, South Sebastian County. And I was supposed to get a job as terms and condition of my probation, and my vehicle broke down. I had many vehicles and many stuff, and I've gambled them all away, including houses and property, okay? All because of alcohol, drugs, and most importantly, gambling are equally important. So there was times when I was on YouTube, and I didn't like relapse and keep going that last time after I got out of jail. I need to back up. I screwed up. I'm sorry. I apologize. People know that I bounced, but I apologize. Let me back up real quick before I go there. So what happens is in April of 2023, I was in it. I got out of rehab and I relapsed hard the first time, and was on a run. I do alcohols primarily. I got a lot of dirty urines from meth, but I will say that meth is not my drug of choice. It's the most it's free. It's super cheap. Everybody, it's a plague. Okay. So that's easiest to get. It's easier to get the pot, even though pot's legalized right next door to me. So when I would do meth, it was always mixing with opiates, marijuana, alcohol, whatever. Doing meth alone does not make me feel good unless I do yard work or tear down a house or something. But I have to. I do it to like drink more and all that other stuff. Okay, that's just the truth of the matter. Well, I'm not a Xanax person. I've never been a benzo person. And there was a day that I was in Fort Smith and I got my hands on 6 Xanax bars. Okay, I have a high tolerance on opiates. I took 6 Xanax bars. I had no clue. I drove 45 minutes down here where I'm at, went to a friend's house, and when I walked in the friend's house, I was like, I was like slurring, couldn't even talk. I then did lots of methamphetamine, which picked me back up. And I will say that a day later, I had a side-by-side, a brand new side-by-side, and I used to go in the mountains a lot. 2 o'clock the next afternoon, that was about 4 o'clock when I took the Xanax, or maybe whatever. I woke up on the floor in this front room where I'm at right now, on the floor, had no clue, had no recollection, no memory of anything. And I look out, my back door's open. I look outside, and my side-by-side was on its roof. It was turned over.
Oh.
And it's complete. I didn't know how, why, but I used to keep gear in it, because when I go up in the mountains, which I live in, mountains are surrounding me right now. I got pigs in my backyard and bears sometimes. Okay. So I used to keep, a chainsaw, because I go off trail. So I kept gear in case I got stuck up there. Well,
Sure.
There was gear scattered all over my yard, but I couldn't find my brand new chainsaw. And I look up the hill, and I cut down a neighbor's 100-year-old oak tree. And I have no idea to this day what that damn oak tree did to me. Okay. I don't know why. I have no, to this day, I don't. All I know is that there was opiates and meth on the counter. And I don't know what I did, how I did. I don't know. And I don't to this day. Well, it freaked me out. Of course, I couldn't tell my PO. I made some phone calls. I had a friend that lived in Texas, and his son was having a birthday, and I had what's the equivalent of a brand new, one of these electronic like swim cruisers the cops ride, $2,000 bike. And I said something. I didn't use it. I had a lot of stuff at the time, so I agreed. I said, listen, he was in Albuquerque at the time, and I said, look, I'm going to go to Amarillo. For whatever reason, I wanted to go to the Big Texan. It's a place they serve steaks that I used to go back in the 90s. Well, Lee Cole lives in Amarillo, Texas. And I happened to talk to Lee, and I told him that I was going to go to Amarillo, go to the Big Texan for the weekend and dry out. And that was my intent. And took off that way. I got to Shamrock, which is outside of Amarillo, about 6 in the morning. And I couldn't even hold my eyes open. I fell asleep. They said I had to be out of there in 4 hours at 10. I called Lee. He didn't answer. I called my friend who was supposed to be in Albuquerque. He took off back to his place in Amarillo. Now, let me say this. I don't use like Google. Well, I do sometimes. So I didn't Google map and see how far Amarillo and El Paso we live. I didn't Google the distance, right? That's like going across the United States. I had no freaking clue, okay? I'm still pretty much out of it. So I take off towards El Paso. And I'm driving for a long time, right? And I'm probably about 2 hours away in a place called, I think it's Rudessa, New Mexico. And I gassed up. I called my friend, and he was having a barbecue, and there were some people over. And I said, listen, I'm not trying to drink and do anything, bro. He drinks. And I said, I'm not trying to be around people. I'm not trying to party, okay? And he said, yeah, no problem, blah, blah, blah. But we got a bunch of stuff on the grill. I said, okay. I turn the corner, go up the hill. Lo and behold, there's a big Apache, whatever, the big Indian, and it's a casino. Now, I had self-banned from the casinos. I can't go to a casino in Oklahoma, and that was a condition of my marriage, to self-ban. Probation, parole at the time was not privy to the fact that I was gambling. I admitted this in court. On my own, I was forthcoming in I've been forthcoming in court all the way about me, my addiction, my life, okay? As much so as on here, if not more so in court, okay? So I turned the corner, and boom. And of course, I had some money on me, not a bunch, but I had money on me, and I ended up in the casino. And I thought I was probably in there maybe, I would have guessed 2 hours, okay? There was and let me, by the way, before I say this isn't a fair thing whatsoever. So there was a girl in there, and she was in a slot machine next to me, and we were talking, and she saw that I was losing, and I said something. I started winning, and I said, no, I'm down, some thousands, and I had a couple hundred. She said, stop, and I'm going, no, I was on a roll. So I have a bad habit of I can't walk out of a casino. I'm the biggest loser there is. And I'm talking a lot of money, 28,000 at a pop. That back then. So anyway, I was down, and she said, "Do you smoke?" do you smoke? And I said, smoke what? And she said, fentanyl. And I never have. And I looked, and of course, you know, I'm losing money. The addiction's kicked. It's all part of the same cycle. I said, I guess I do now. And ended up walked out of the casinos like 11 o'clock at night. And I was supposed to be there, you know, 6, 7 or something. And ended up staying there. Took a few hits of fentanyl, and it was off to the races. I was with her for about an hour or so, but I was stuck there for a minute. And then my car broke down. That was the last vehicle I have. I still have it, and it's broken down right now again, by the way. But I got stranded there. I was sober for a couple days, and I had a drug test, and I didn't tell them I was leaving the state, which is a major violation of supervised release. And I called my PO and I told him straight up, I'm stranded and this is where I'm at. They even put me on the little, I had an iPhone so you can see where I'm at. I did offer to turn myself into the authorities because the warrant was going to be issued for my arrest. They let me go ahead and turn myself in. Now, I'm saying all this because it's going to lead up to the video. I did make it up to the Friends for like an hour, dropped off the bike and went back down to the same spot in New Mexico because I had a hotel room, and the car broke down three times. And I was calling home for money, different places. My wife was very angry. I had money to fix the car and some money that was sent. I also gambled again. Long story short, what was I there 5-6 days? My PO's tripping, and I'm just on this fucking, like I said, I was sober a couple of those days, but you'll see the video. I thought I was pickled. I was polluted, you know, I mean, in a way that I've never been before in my life. And you guys are about to see this video. Like I said, it's the most embarrassing video I've ever done. And this is about addiction, and this is what addiction looks like. And with that, Johnny, I'm going to go ahead and run it. Okay, bro?
Okay.
Okay.
I've got a couple. So I went in there and the temperature wasn't right.
Hold on.
It's gonna be hard. I just did something over on a.
I'm going to stop it and try to say what I'm. Okay, here we go.
Okay, what's the voice say?
I cannot believe what I look like.
Welcome to the live chat. Remember blah 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 blah. Okay.
Let me stop for 1 second. When I went, this is a parking lot like a truck stop. Okay, I don't even know what part of New Mexico. But when I went in there, I went in to buy beer before I did this. Okay, you need an ID to buy beer in New Mexico. I walked in, and as soon as I started walking in, probably, and I wasn't loose, this happened. 5-10 cop cars surrounded the place. There was nobody inside. Well, there's a guy in the bathroom, I guess, holding himself hot. Something was going on. I missed it. I walked straight to the counter. One of the cops came up and asked me what I was doing. I said, grab beer. He said, get it. The lady, oh, by the way, I lost my wallet, ID. I had no identification on me whatsoever. Okay. I get the beer. I go back. I parked at the back of the parking lot. You'll see me turning my head a lot. Yeah, I'm fucked up, but there were cops here. Chad Vars did an interview with me, and I talked to Chad about 10 minutes before I did this video. And I was telling him, I called my PO, watched the video. There's things I want to say. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Right before here, if I remember correctly, I think when I drink beer, it's usually tall cans and it's a sip at a time. If I remember correctly, it was 2 or 3 beers, and I had a couple of Mike's lemonade or something. But I just pounded, I think, 3 beers right before I went on, and this is what it is.
Oh shit!
What's up?
It's typical, man.
Come here real quick.
So let's we doing this.
What's up, bro? See it?
All right. So what? Right here. Okay.
Do you see the other belt?
Yeah, let's do this.
Is it on?
Damn it. All right, come on. How do I do this now? Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
I don't even know that.
Yeah. I'm on this right now. Go ahead, go out there. I'll be there.
So I don't even know where to go. I just did something over on
I got
YouTube where I
earphones.
sang a little song. I don't have a good singing voice.
Okay, so this is to my wife, by the way, and when I'm getting ready to attempt to, this is to my wife, by the way, and what I'm getting ready to do here is sing Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper, and Shallow or something. And the reason I did this, and I was trying to explain, but it didn't come out right. So when my wife, before she got to the States, took her 4 months to get here after I got released. She likes to hear me sing. All right? And one day I was drunk. She didn't know it. She had no idea I was already drinking when I got out. And I was singing this song. Now, if you guys don't know what the Star is Born is about, it's about Bradley Cooper in the end. The whole thing's pretty much framed towards his suicide at the end. I'll say this openly. I've said it before. I've always been, and I don't want people to take this wrong way, like I'm suicidal, nor was I at this point in this video, but I've always been infatuated with suicide. I know that's wrong. I've always thought people that did it had big balls. It hurts people. People shouldn't think that way, but it's true. When I was singing this song to my wife before she got here, it was because I was really starting to drink too much. And she never, when we met, when I was in prison, I was almost 4 years clean. And I used on and off the next 8 years after which she was standing by me. And she didn't know it. And I have prison journals about it that I was going to eventually give to her. And I sang this song Shallow in a video to her. And what I was really doing was suffering. And that's what I was trying to explain here. Johnny, can you hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay.
Something I sang to my wife. You on the lane? I don't know what the fuck.
Jesus Christ.
So, here's the deal. First, I want to start by saying that I apologize to law enforcement and probation department, maybe might even judge who's going to be watching this, who probably thought I was going to do it a little while ago. The truth is, I'm out of town. I'm doing this in a parking lot, and I'm having problems with this vehicle. It's like breaking down, and I'm going to be driving home tonight, and I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and it's gonna be hard, right? But and if you guys want to talk shit for me for tearing up shit, I probably would too. So yeah, let me do this.
So I was talking to the YouTube MOBTUBE genre because I figured that they would all be just riding me for this, and I'm saying, yeah, I get it.
I remember when I got out of prison, April the 13th, 2021, on a compassionate release. I never really foresaw myself like drinking and doing drugs or getting high and stuff like that, right? I've had a long history of addiction for sure, but I was married to a girl who was like not at all into that, you know what I mean? And I really did believe at that time that maybe she was going to save me from herself. I don't really know, you know?
So my wife has never been around criminal element. She's never taken drugs, took a hit of pot when she was 17, saw cocaine for the first time 4 or 5 years ago. And I said that I always believed when I got out of prison, like that addiction wasn't going to be an issue. That's what I was trying to explain. And I said that I thought, you know, maybe she was going to save me from myself. That's what I was trying to say.
That's just the way to put it. And one night, I just got my house, our first house. And I ran a little video, and I held it up, and it was Bradley Cooper, with Lady Gaga. I said with Bradley Cooper part Shallow, and she didn't really know what was going on. I mean, you know, she just liked the way I sing and it went. You know, you guys know the verses. Tell me something, girl. Excuse me. Are you tired of this modern world?
I can't believe I'm letting you hear me do this. This is fucking.
Or do you need more? Is there something else you're searching for? I'm fall. I'm falling. And in the good times, I feel longing for change. I screwed the words.
Mind you, I thought I looked fucking normal in this video. I had no clue that I was this fucked up out of my mind.
You didn't
And
rewatch,
in the bad times, I feel.
What'd you say?
you didn't rewatch it before you uploaded it?
No, it's live. It was live, bro.
Oh, that was live. Oh wow.
So that's, if you guys don't know that movie, it's Bradley Cooper's a drunk alcoholic, and this shit has a lot to do with suicide and stuff like that. Take it easy, first of all, people. More to do that I just like, I love that movie, and I'm not going to get into the whole suicide thing because I don't want to be freaking out. I'm just saying that there was always been some kind of little infatuation with it, and like Bradley Cooper did it, and it was like, wow, that's the whole thing, right? So but that song, I got a boom in it. Sorry. What I was doing was,
the person who calls himself Tammy Kennedy says, and the moral of the story is just to say no to drugs. Bingo.
I was letting her know that I was drinking without alerting her. She never had a clue, right? Before she came, took her 4 months to get her because of COVID and immigration, stuff like that. But it was inside. I was like crying out, like saying, "Woof," I was sad inside of myself because I knew what was coming. Like I felt it, you know what I mean? And that's just me, addiction. So anyway, Marta came. Let me back up real quick, and I don't want to get too. So the first day I got out, I got a pizza. There was a guy named Steve. I'm not going to get into the whole thing. He bought me a pizza at Terre Haute, Indiana, and with that pizza, he just instinctively bought a beer, like it wasn't no, and I didn't think twice about it, and I never saw an iPhone, never been on an iPhone.
So let me go ahead and explain this. So I got out of prison. I was spit out. Like they just released me. Like I'm out into the world. And the person who picked me up was a guy that my wife had met. And his wife had a taxi cab company, but he was also, I think he was a preacher for a while, real Christian guy. So he picks me up because I lived in Terre Haute, Indiana. And I had a friend coming from Arkansas that was going to drive me home. He was my cellie when I got life. He turned his life around. Multi-million-dollar construction company, and also a nonprofit foundation, which I went to work for when I first got out, called SCARS, Saving Children and Reviving Souls. So when Steve picked me up, he asked me what I wanted. I said pizza. I was just popped off, and he went up to the counter and just bought me a beer. It was just there, and I never thought twice. I never thought like, no, I shouldn't. Never did. And then I've never seen an iPhone in my life. Never been on the internet. And was in prison 23 years, 8 months, and 2 days. And right when he brings the pizza and beer in, boom, he hits the button and there's Marta. And our first conversation over a phone, went from like her face was like, oh my God, and her face just turned ashen, and it was just all bad. She saw the beer, and it was like she knew right then, and I was like so ashamed. I did drink like another half a beer, and I don't know what I'm going to say next, but what happens later on that night is I get put in a hotel room, like the best hotel room in Terre Haute, whatever. My friend got me, and I'm waiting for him, and I have a debit card. I don't know how to use a debit card. Maybe I had one at a bank when I was a kid, but I never had a bank account, credit card, nothing. I was a drug dealer, and I didn't know. I'm in a hotel room. I don't know how to turn on the TV. Technology was way too much for me. And I had what I now realize is like a bad anxiety attack. So I tried to go figure out first how to use the card. And I went across the street to a convenience store. They didn't know what to do. The next store was a liquor store. The guy who worked there's dad, who was a correctional officer at the prison I just left. I knew who he was. And I told the guy I got out. He hooked me up on the card, but I had to buy something. And of course, I bought a 6-pack. And drank like 3 or 4 pretty quick and figured out the TV in a second. And that's the truth. Oh. Oh, this is where my wife is
I'll call
calling
you
to
after
try to
this.
stop me.
And
So you guys will hear this go out a lot. My wife and then another guy who was actually a hacker for ISIS, yes, the terrorist group I met in Terre Haute. He's also trying to call and stop me too.
she saw me drinking that beer, right? And it was like her face, man. I would see that face many more times over the next 2 years. Well, I wish, yeah, it went from sad to just angry, right? And anyway, so I struggled with alcohol on and off. 364 days. Then my PO's watching, and I'm not going to say his name. He asked me not to before. I think it was like almost 364 days I made it without a dirty urine. That is not to say I didn't do drugs, but there's a real big myth out there that it was more so than it was. I will say this, and I'm going to say this right now, and I know this is not going to be good for me probably in the days to come, but this is what it is. This is a sickness inside of me. Okay. The more I got my drug testing, I was getting drug tested and it was dropping. I was like to every other week or something like that. And I popped dirty. And to this day, I'm going to say that the drug I popped dirty for in the mouse swab that I got, I'm not going to go into all this, but I freaked out. When I popped dirty, they said,
okay, real quick, this is important. So when I got out of prison, I got out in part because I had bladder cancer on compassionate release. I had urinary problems, whatever. It was documented at the time. And they were not, I didn't have to urine. I didn't have to give a urine test. They put me on mouth swab tests, okay? So mouth swab test, and it took me probably about 7-8 months before I learned. So, because I didn't really use that much. But the time frame for drugs to really pop on a mouth swab is less than a urine test. And as I started using more, I did a little research and I figured out how to kind of, I guess you'd say, beat a mouth swab test. Okay. I was out nearly a year, and if I recall, my probation officer and his partner came to my house. It was early in the morning. I was up the night before, but I was on something. I was on other things, and I was in the yard doing work. And if I recall correctly, they came to tell me that the judge was impressed with my YouTube channel and was going to invite me to a steak dinner. As one of them was saying that it was checking the perimeter of my property, and they pulled out a mouth swab and swabbed me. I am not going to say what I was using because I'm not here to try to get people to beat drug tests, so I'm not going to do that. But I didn't have what I would normally have to beat the test. Okay, and I popped and dirty, and it came up something, and it wasn't what I was under the influence of. But needless to say, they sent me up to do a urine test, and I copped 2 things up there. At that point, they then started making me do urine tests, and I'm going to go ahead and say this now to get the shock value out of it. I told you guys earlier tonight, if you've been listening, that I'm having issues right now as far as I might have to go tomorrow to the doctor and have a catheter put in me. I've only had a catheter, like a catheter with a bag, put in me one time. And it was a really horrible experience. So when I have surgeries, I tell them not to put the bag, that if they put a bag on you in case the blood, like what's happening right now, if the blood clots are coming out, they can stop your urinary flow, and then your bladder can get too full and it can cause pain. So they want to make sure that the tumors, the scabs are whatever. Well, one of the things with probation is in my district, you can't bring a phone inside the building, and you have to sit there, right? So when I originally went in, I just didn't want to sit in the office. I don't like sitting places very long. So me being familiar with catheterizing myself, I'm going to say this again, catheterizing myself, because I've done it many times throughout the years, is nothing to me. There's no feeling really. There's 2 parts when you put a catheter in you. There's two parts that are tender. It would be the prostate, and then what would be called the bladder sphincter muscle. There's like a feeling, but when you do it, it's no feeling. So I'm going to say this now. What I came up with, and this wasn't about beating drug tests at the time. It was about getting out of the office in the beginning. I catheterized myself and I put fake urine into my bladder that I made, homemade urine that I learned how to do. And yes, I know that's fucking hardcore to people. And I know that that will be something talked about if people miss this before. And it is true. I did that. And then I started actually doing it to beat drug tests. And I'll get into that in a minute, but I'm not going to say how or what I put in it. I'm not going to do that. It's not what I'm here to do.
Like a couple different drugs. It was my PO and his sidekick. Both were really good guys. My PO's a really good guy. And I'm not just saying he's a good guy. And so is all the junior levels. PI. They know what I'm saying. But anyway, so shout out to Maddie and Blake. So anyway, yeah. So
I just gave shout outs to probation officers. That's what I just did there.
they're good. They're good people. They're not trying to put people away, right? They're not. But I didn't know that. So I thought if you pop once, they take you away. So in state prison back in the 1994, I got hit for a dirty urine that I never even was dirty of. I got hit at times. I feel.
Oh shit! I'm sorry.
I screw up, or I've been dirty. I've been dirty for other drugs. I have that I've actually peed for, and but now it's probably all coming and making sense more to them now. Or well, I believe.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I got to back up a second. So what I was getting at here is in 1994, when I was on state parole, if you pop dirty once, they're sending you to prison. I got arrested leaving my child's daycare. It was over my first marriage. I believe to this day, I don't know, my wife's boyfriend at the time, who was jealous that I came home. Me and my wife were doing things. And we got into an argument, and I told her that I wanted a divorce and I was going to take the kids, blah, blah, blah. And the next day I come out of daycare, they pull a bunch of cops pull me over, and they find what the police reports will say was $20 of a substance believed, or 2 points of a substance believed to be methamphetamine. I didn't do meth then. I had done it. I did not have it on possession. I was clean. The time I was out on parole, at this time, I'd never used drugs. Totally set up. 5 days I was in that jail. 4 or 5 days later, they came and piss tested me, and the piss test came up positive for methamphetamine. I lost my freaking mind. Okay, I had my attorney have a court order, brought me out, did blood work, and of course I came back clean. I was violated. Well, I was actually violated for attacking one of the witnesses at my, well, a bunch of things, the boyfriend. But I was violated. And during that violation, my parole officer's name was Paul Arcade, steps up and admits that the drug test they gave me was faulty and I was never dirty for methamphetamine. I already done 7.5 months at that time, okay? So it was too late. You talk about pissed off, set up for fucking drugs that wasn't mine, and hit for a dirty urine I never would. That's what I was trying to say. So when I get hit on this drug test, it first came up some other stuff. I thought I was going to get locked up right then. I had no idea that the U.S. probation was as lenient as they've become, or that they're not trying to put people away. So I have a problem admitting to anybody when I'm under the influence, especially authority figures, maybe based on that. I'm not constitutionally capable 90% of the time of saying, yes, I'm dirty. I'm just, it's something it's just in me. And sometimes the court or probation, they might take that a little personal, and it's never been personal. It's just what happens in me. So that's what I was trying to explain here, I believe. Let me see if I got on the right.
To him it is. For sure to him. Maybe not his boss, but for him. And yeah. So I was going to go say this in front of the judge, but I chose to just go ahead and get it out tonight because I will be arrested tonight shortly, from what I understand. Excuse my language. Excuse my.
So what I'm saying there is the reason I put all this out there is because it was all going to come out in court anyway.
No. So here's the deal. I've got a couple. So I went in there and the temperature wasn't right, and they've sent it out. That one was fine actually. The next day they tested one, which actually should have been fine. Jesus Christ. So I got hit. I got hit with the dirty on that one, and yeah. Anyway, so but again, let me be clear. If I'm messing with the test, right? If I'm doing something. Doesn't matter if I want to go in there. B, doesn't matter whatever. I'm messing with them, right? So that's a violation.
What I'm trying to say here is that I gotta watch. What I'm trying to say here is that I was popping dirty for things that I shouldn't have been dirty of because I was making the wrong type of urine that was coming up false positives. However, I was dirty for certain drugs, and that's all that mattered. I was dirty, whether it was popping for opiates or meth, and I was doing the other, doesn't matter. The urine, the stuff that I came up with was causing some false positives, is what I was trying to say here.
So I'm guilty of violations, you know, and I'm here to say that. So, I never personally met the guy who let me on a compassion release. His name is Judge Brooks. And let me tell you something. So I've got a message I heard from him. Maybe it's true, maybe not. And
I'm getting cut off here. That my wife's calling or my friend's calling. Yeah, I know. Travis, I'm reading your message. I never knew about the turkey baster. In federal prison, they did use honey bear bottles to shoot stuff up them. I believe
he's reform-minded. So my department, or the judge, from and the chief and his staff, he's like a reform-minded guy. So they went around and looked in the country. So he's like, he let me on a compassion.
Real quick, what I was trying to say, in federal prison, they get honey bear bottles, and guys were shooting water up them. This is back in the 90s. I'm going to tell you something. I believe, this is my personal opinion, okay, that the guys who said that they were doing that and that were coming up clean when we all got high together were ratting, were snitching. Give them 3, you walk free. I did try to do a honey bear one time, and it's almost impossible because the head's not long enough when I was in prison. And I'm not saying that nobody ever did it correctly. Back then, you could use just water. There wasn't pH levels and all creatine level, all that stuff. But I believe that all those guys that were saying that were hot. They're cutting me off. I'm getting cut off right now. That's why it's silent. I'm getting pissed too. I start screaming in a minute because Marta's shutting me down. Tammy, I'm not sure. And look, I'm getting pissed because nobody can hear me. I start wigging out.
I don't know what just happened there. I don't know. Okay, so you guys, I can't, babe. I can't. So
Just tell me to
can't.
stop.
I can't.
So my wife's telling me to stop. She's begging me, and I'm saying I can't, and I need to go forward. But let me say something else. I was not on methamphetamine here. I hadn't done meth in days, and I cannot believe the way my jaw is fucking popping and doing that stuff. That is alcohol, fentanyl. Yeah, alcohol and fentanyl. I'm shut off again by her. I did do meth right before I went into the probation.
Oh, you can tell the alcohol, man. You got some slur going on a little bit.
Dude, it's just, Johnny, it's just, I can't believe it. I'm going to tell you something else. I'll tell you in a minute.
Because of my addiction issues, my wife and I have started having problems. Let me back up here for a second, okay?
Jesus Christ.
December 6th, I went into rehab at the Harbor House. And that rehab was awesome. Well, it was. I was really concerned about it. I was really concerned because it puts you in like a criminal environment. But at the same time, there's checkers on. At the same time, what happens is I like being clean. I do. You know, I do. I've been so. Martin and I had a lot of problems, and it's primarily based on my addictions.
Thank you.
So I'm erratic. You know, a couple days after, whatever the deal is. I'm not. She's not a saint, but I'm not that. I'm not here to do that. She's the best. There's nobody I've ever been with more, and I loved more than Marta. I just didn't know. Haven't know how to show her because I'm like a mature like man child inside, right? So what I've learned a lot more than anything is addiction. I self-medicate. It's about self-medicating for me, right? It's about self-medicating. It really took away from our relationship, and it's sad what's happened. She became a part. I broke her. I have broken her spirit. Is what I did.
I'm getting cut off again by her or one of my other friends. The guy, like I said, the guy was a hacker, and he. I'm surprised he didn't shut me down all the way. They do eventually. This is crazy though. It really is. And real quick, Patrick, that would not work now because the tests have really evolved. It's really it's something. Jesus Christ. Seriously, it makes me kind of sick. It makes me really anyway.
Yeah, they test like creatinine levels and all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah, the pH levels and yeah, that's right. But this is why I'm wigging out on her. And I'm glad you guys didn't hear this because I'm going south, if I remember correctly, and just destroyed her. I don't know. I was hallucinating at some point. I thought that somebody had was able to beam. You said something about a supernatural channel, Johnny. Let me tell you, there was gremlins and goblins, and there was goblins in my car. Like I start like pointing and laughing at him and saying, "Who's doing this?" I don't know if I did that already.
How many days of no sleep are we going on here?
I think it was 5 right here. Like I said,
there you go.
Meth was the first. So I after I passed out in this house and I took the drive. Right before I took the drive, I did a line, and then it was fentanyl. 2 days no sleep. I did do some coke. I did. Yeah, I did. I mean, a little bit, but this is I drank before this. I did do fentanyl on the way to this place. Lee Cole, when he was mad at me one time, brought up the fact that I was a public safety factor for being on the road, and that came up in my courtroom, and I was hit. Not because of Lee, because of I did the video. And before the sound comes back on, if it does, I'm going to say this. On the way from there, this video, I left, okay? And I kept driving straight to Arkansas. This is at night. I didn't get there till about 4 o'clock the next day. I don't know what time this was. I stopped. I was swerving on the road for sure. I pulled over, not in rest stops, at the side of the road in New Mexico, Texas, and Oklahoma, and was stopped by state troopers who knocked on my freaking window every time. Me in this condition that I'm in right now, I had no ID, and I told them I was going to turn myself into court, and nobody gave me a sobriety test. They ran one of them didn't even run my name, and I'm not blaming. I'm just saying I'm freaking amazed that number one, nobody got hurt, and it's already come up in court, so I can say that it's true. And that those cops let me go. And I did offer to turn myself into my PO, and that's not putting any blame on him. I'm just saying I did. But I had no idea that I looked like this, or I had no idea.
They're here to call balls and strikes, not and to enforce law, is what I should say. So that they don't have the mechanism, they don't have the laws to work with that says that.
I was trying to say that the judge, it's not the judge's fault. The judge is not there to put me, he's there to call balls and strikes. I was blaming the law for locking up addicts or something like that, I believe. And to this day, like, I still ponder with that, but it's all right. Bullshit. Bob Miller says bullshit. I know he's talking about, but Travis, man, that's great. Bob Miller, I don't know what he's saying bullshit about, but I let him get his airtime there. I'll give him that.
I can only imagine what's being said that they saved you from. They did you a solid, actually, by.
Oh, and let me tell you something else. When I got to Arkansas, I caught more stuff, and then on meth. And right before I walked in the courthouse, did it. And not only that, I found the Mike's Lemonade in the car, and was it 2 Mike's Lemonades and a beer? This is in front of the courthouse as I'm turning myself in. I drank. It was 2 lemonades and a beer, and walked in. And as soon as I walked in, I told the marshals, I said, I'm pretty sure you guys got a warrant for my arrest. Bob Miller said there's no way troopers would run you. There's no way the troopers would to run you. There's no way the troopers would to run you. He's saying that the troopers wouldn't let me go. I think, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And I was sitting on the side of the road, not rest stops, 3 times. And that wasn't an hallucination. But it's okay. I mean,
I've been stopped in states of all states of partial and almost complete inebriation, and I've been let go too. I mean, that's not unheard of, Bob.
Well, I mean, it's crazy because it was 3 states, and the troopers are like, So I hit a deer not long ago, and I got a headlight out of my car. I've been pulled over 7 times by county guys. I hit a 10-point buck, and every time they pull me over, I'm like, what is it for? Because my window was broke. Oh, by the way, my car window, when I was at the casino, I locked my keys, lost my wallet. You see the condition I'm in. I busted my side window out. I had like people helping me try to like do it right. My back door was open. Yeah. So I had a window out. Anyway, it's been out until recently. So I've been pulled over 7 times with warnings here in the last couple months. And I go, what is it for? The headlight, the windows? And then they go, no, it's like the license plate's out, or you didn't have your lights on or something. I'm wigging out on Martyr right there. I'm wigging out because I know she got me silenced like that. And I show them. I got a video of the 10-point buck that I hit. I came out of an AA meeting in a neighborhood a couple months ago and wiped out a 10-point buck that people spend like their whole lives in tree stands trying to kill. And I was in the Harbor House. This is in October. I was in transitional living, and all the guys up there, Monarchy, they're all hunters, So when I showed them, I was traumatized by what I did to my car. Like it wrapped my car's messed up, and the guy's like, "Where's it at? Where's it at?" I'm like, "Dude, it's in Vienna Hills. It's like it's in the city." Man, these guys got in the pickup truck, like standing up, like Dukes of Hazzard shit. Got that buck. 20 minutes after I killed. Well, they had it skinned in about 15 minutes. It was on the barbecue. Yeah. Let's see what this one's saying. It takes a lot of work to be able to watch yourself and recognize the problems. Good on you and keep the hard work. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I swear to God, I didn't. But what happened was I didn't make it down for the test because the car broke down and for some other reason I'm not going to get into. So hence, then I missed a test, which is a violation, which is like.
I'm explaining my worst violation.
I do know.
Okay, I don't know how much further. Let's see. Okay, it starts getting cut off here. I'm so lucky. My drug choice is weed. You are, yeah. Hey, Bob, you're not wrong, but let me tell you something. I think this has already been brought up in court. That's why I'm doing this too, by the way. And I'm okay with it. It is embarrassing. It is let's see. Hold on.
And you can put it behind you, you know. You reviewed it, and then you can put it behind you and be done with it.
I'm not sure.
Well, they knew to keep you tied. They knew to keep the line tied up, huh? They were just calling back to back to back to back.
Yeah, I think it's about done. Anyway, let me see. Was there any more?
I can get into some of the things.
There it is. Yeah.
Let's see.
There's absolutely no question. You were by far.
Thank you. So Tammy's agreeing here. I've never done anything else, and to be honest,
So,
it's actually served me quite well. Yeah.
But man, I don't understand what you're doing right now, because I did what I did to you, and it changed you forever. I broke your spirit, right? I really did, and that whether you want to believe it or not, kept me drink. I needed to numb myself when I saw you. I needed to numb myself when I felt like a failure. I can get into some of the things you said about me that I think are uncalled for, but the truth is, I would love to hear you say them again, just so I can be with. But it's not gonna happen. It's not happening no more. I need some kind of peace too, you know. I think.
Yeah, okay, that's about it. So I'm going off there now. So anyway, yeah. So a couple of people are upset that I've played this, I think. But listen, yeah, this didn't just this isn't just something I put up. I've thought about this before, and I thought this was the right platform at the time right now, and I don't regret it. It does make me sad thinking about some of the stuff at the same time, and I've relapsed since then. You know, I haven't been in this condition, but it doesn't really matter. Still battling with my demons, I guess you'd say. But somebody said something. I really need to. There's a couple things I need to do. Number one is when I go to rehab, it's like I'm in it, you know, and I like AA. I love all that shit. I love it. And then even this last time before I relapsed, when I got out so I went September the 16th. I chose to go in by myself. Probation did get involved, and what did I make it 60 days before anything? And there was one time I came down here to do some yard work, and yard work was like a trigger. And I used the tools that they taught me in rehab, and it was amazing. It took 30 minutes, but it worked. And then I just said this in court the other day. When I relapsed this time, it was intentional. And what I mean by that, and some people can call bullshit, I went to church that day. I went to an AA meeting out. I've been going to church again. Let me say something about that. I was born and raised Catholic, and fell out of the Catholic Church for a lot of reasons people did. But I just stopped. I actually stopped believing in God after I got a life sentence. Didn't pray not one time when I was in prison, and my wife started going to volunteering at church, and it's not about Catholicism per se. I went back to church for the first time in 30 something years, and the Catholic Church has changed. It's got an upbeat tempo. It's totally different. And this father that's up in Fort Smith at Immaculate Conception is awesome. And it was like it's like a high. It's like a dope high. I just couldn't believe it the first time I went, especially. And then I went to confession for the first time in 39 years. I'm going to tell you something. I slept the best I've slept in a month. It's better than the psychologist, anything I ever went to. That's the truth. When I popped when I relapsed this time, it was over an argument, and I as a man child, like I said before, one of the things is uh, I I literally said that if we can't come to some kind of an agreement here, I got a drug test in the morning, and I'm going to go and get high just so I go back to prison and get away from this. That's exactly what I said, and I did it. I regretted it, of course, the next day, but I did it. Pot 30, and then there's been several others since, which I just went to court for. And by the way, dude, this is hard to watch. I can tell you how bad you feel. I feel for you, man. We've seen how you otherwise, and it's painful to see you do this for yourself because you're so much better than this. Thank you, Mike. I think. So sobriety starts at getting through the minute, then hour, then it's day to day, one day at a time. I agree. One of the things that happened is I was in the Harbor House, still in transitional living, and when you get a DUR, you're not supposed to be there. And I didn't say something for a minute, and living that lie in there, knowing that I shouldn't have a bed space was hard. And going to AA meetings after that was hard because it's all about your sobriety dates. And I stopped going because I stopped. I just couldn't take the lie to myself, And then I started working night shift. I got a job actually. Well, I'll see. I had a job waiting. I will see here any day. And that I like a lot. I went to work. I've never worked at like 17 months of my entire life. That's my work history as far as going to a place. And I just started again, and I have a night second shift job, 12 hours a day at times. Starting in February, they're cranking 5/12s, and I dig it. It's not something it's a mattress factory, pack out. It's not something I'm gonna, 54, but it's a place to be, making honest money, and it's been pretty good. It's glad. Sorry, can't watch it. I remember being worried that you were going to hurt yourself that night. It's very upsetting. I'm glad that you're back to hear it. Doug Ford, I'm done. Thank you. Yeah, there was people that thought because I brought the Bradley Cooper up, some of my family members. All right, on Mike. And yeah, this is terrible. For sure. This is I hurt family members. Could have hurt people on the road. Yeah. So definitely more to the story now. Go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna say, like, I'm with Duck on that one because you could see the pain in that video, and I could tell you that's I've been in those situations where you feel hopeless and helpless, and just all that pain, and there's no drug or amount of alcohol that can fill that hole, that can get rid of that pain. So that's everybody was probably worried about you trying to fill it with alcohol or drugs, and then something bad happened. Everybody was just concerned, and
well,
it was hard to watch, bro. It was tough to watch. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, a lot of people were horrified, and I'm just glad it's. But you know what? It's in the past, bro. It's in the past, and
yeah. So where I'm at, and I've said it. I just said a video about it the other day. So what happened was I just got violated, and I am out. Dealing with the cancer treatments. The judge gave me 14 months, so I got to go back in for 14 months. Well, the sentence is deferred. Different people are reading into that. I've had different opinions, so technically, I guess I can get more time or less. But I believed Thursday that, and I had this house was emptied. I had a renter coming. I've got storage facilities on the property. It's a pretty big property. Everything in this house was emptied out. So, and on the way up there, my mom was kind of in denial. I said, Mom, listen to me. I'm going away. He's giving me 3 years, and I'll deal with it. I said, I'm going to be depressed for some weeks, but I'll move forward, And then I had conversations with friends that are in their 60s. I'm 54. And that was another thing. Like, if I get out when I'm 57, I started thinking about what kind of life I have left. I've lost everything. Miraculously, I was able to save this house by a girl that was going to rent it till I got out, pay the mortgage and the insurance. And that was a big lifesaver right there, big stress reliever. And I was shocked by the judge. more so like some of the people on here just saying that this is a sad case because I've been
I
given.
wasn't shocked, bro. I told you, man. I
You
remember I
weren't.
kept asking.
Yes, you
I
did.
kept saying, like, you sure he's going to do that? Do you really think he'd do that? Like, it just didn't. I mean, look, I get it. You know, you want to plan for the worst. That way you're
Sure.
prepared and that, you know,
Sure.
you're all set up for that. But it just didn't seem like, you know, after all the interest he's shown in your specific case to just be done like that. You know what I mean? Especially when you have the treatment and all that stuff hanging in the balance. I just don't see him being
So one of the things that was said, and this was by the judge, the prosecutor, and my attorney, was they're not going to put me on supervised release when I get out because they don't want it to be a revolving door. I'm not committing new crimes. I've got this, and I. So some people say addiction and using it as a crutch or whatever, and I got mad about that in a video sometimes. Look at, nobody thinks about why, when, how, what the deal is more than me. And you know, some people say it's real basic that what I go through or my addiction struggles are no different than anybody else's. And then I'll watch and then I agree, but then there's other factors too, and then I disagree. So I go round and round and overthink everything, right? It's crazy how when I'm in it, the sobriety mind frame when I'm rolling, it's like, especially this last time. My God, like I said, the night that I ended up using the first time, it was such a. My counselor said it best. It's like, so I want to hurt people. So I was trying to hurt the person I was fighting with. It was. It's like I'm drinking poison trying to kill somebody else, but I'm ruining my life, and it's so true. And I don't, when I'm in the moment, I don't realize it, you know. And then it's easier to say fuck it afterwards in different hard times, whether it's finances. It's been the two things that have kept me in a state of unravel, or whatever you want to say, is finances and marriage. And you know, my wife miraculously is not seeking a divorce, neither am I at this time. You know, she thought I was going away and sticking by me again, whatever, but I'm not going to get too far into that. But we're separated for sure. But you know, I got to figure this out. So one of the things is in one aspect, I've got the addiction struggles. And the other one, there's light because I've got like a job and there is progression that people can see, that I can see and people can see, right? So that's true. That's true. So I'm in this quagmire. It's like this weird thing. And it's like, even doing this tonight will have a big reflection impact on me because I'll think about this, especially putting it out here on YouTube like this. That's another reason I did it, was self-serving, you know, for sure. Yeah. So anyway, but I don't know what else to say right now. Now I'm starting to feel a little bit like, oh God, I just, you know, like, oh fuck, let's keep it working.
No. I mean, look. I mean, explaining the video, there was some stuff in there that I had no fucking idea what you were talking about, and it sounds like gibberish. But when you explain what you're saying, you know, you were in your head, bro, and you weren't explaining things right at the time. We could see. I mean, obviously, but explaining it explains a lot. You know exactly what you were talking about, what this was about, what that was about, and you're explaining it from a much more clear perspective, bro. So
right.
So then you can, you know, put it in the past, man. And
okay, Travis, I want to make where's that comment at? I want to reply to this. After 14 months, are you off paper? If so, more piss tests yanking you back. No, I'm off paper, so there won't be the piss test. This one said right here, and this is a really big deal right here. Where is it at? How come I can't get up on the screen? As competitive as you are, I'm sure you saw beating the drug test as competition. Let me be clear. When I call in the drug hotline, when I was calling in the drug hotline prior to April, okay? So I haven't done the catheterization. Matter of fact, let me tell you this. This came up in my first court hearing. I never said what I was doing or how I was beating or what I was using. before I went into rehab this time, I had a talk with my probation officer. We go round and round, and I have, depending on the day and the week, how I feel. And I say it a million times, he's a good guy. But calling in the drug hotline, and I've done this numerous times, more than 10, says I got a report in the morning, trigger. I went and got high. I swear to God, just what he said. I don't know about being competitive or acting smarter, or there was a satisfaction in doing it for sure. And when I pop sometimes that I shouldn't have or whatever, but I was dirty, so I don't want to take that away. My God, yes, for sure. So there were times when I was not using, I called the drug, 10 for sure. Call the drug hotline. You got to piss. I'm looking at the clock. Okay. My wife's going to be home in an hour. I can go here. I can take 3 hits off a pipe. I can smoke a 2 hits off a joint and drink a beer, and she'll never know. Go as far as her. 100% was a trigger. Crazy. That's insanity. It's what I did. It's what I did. And it was like, it gave me some kind of self-fucking satisfaction. I don't know. I don't. Sick. It's as sick as going to use.
I think it was getting away with it. That is, being able to get away with it, to sneak and get away with it, obviously, because that's a lot of risk, bro. You took
oh my God.
You took some extreme measures, man. Like it's
yeah.
But that's, you think that has anything to do with maybe being somewhat institutionalized, maybe the cat and mouse game?
Oh yeah. So for sure. So wait, once done with pain meds for surgery, start the next journey, open the next. So I'm done with the pain meds now. I've taken 3 total. That I'm not taking no more. So honestly, look, like I said, as far as a Percocet 3.25, it's my mom did that. We're talking to the doctor. The doctor's like, we give them pain meds, and the truth is, the way it's worked in the past is I do need them for the first day. So when the last time I had a reoccurrence, my wife and I were living together full time, and she took them from me. Then I went to the dentist and had I was a tooth extraction or something, and they went to put me on Percocet, and she went smooth off on them and said, they don't do this in Spain. They don't give opiates. They don't hand out opiates like that. And she kiboshed that. I wasn't even thinking on that line at that time. But yeah, but she took my pain meds when I had the bladder surgery, and I just said, I said, look, I need them for just the day. And I'll tell you what, I actually did need it the second day, but I can survive. This time, it's a different feeling. It's not hurt from the cut. It's the burning from the chemo. So it's doing nothing whatsoever. And well, I want to say that usually if I go 2 or 3 days on opiates, it really can start something. 3.25, so I'm not trying to downplay it. It's still opiates for sure. Okay. I'm saying that let's say that I haven't used opiates. Let's just say 2 years. The minimum I'm going for is 40 milligrams of oxy or hydrocodone. Minimum. It's not even, you know what I mean? It's not even a
Sure.
question. So that's if I'm, and I'll say this: when I was in prison, when I was sober, I did 4 years sober. There were times I had reoccurrences, and I did look forward to the Michael Jackson juice, which is a propofol, and they put fentanyl in the bag at the same time. Sometimes they give me 2 perks after something, but like I said, it just depends. If they give me a couple days, then again, I was sober. I liked being sober, but there was that little, there was that little addict thing in me. By the way, 3 years, 8 months, 27 days I was sober. I drank 3 times during that time, and probably had 3 years, maybe 4 reoccurrences. So sober, but for sure those were the things I'd done. And I got sober by going to a new prison and being with Carmine Persico, and that's the truth. He's like a father to me, and the day I left Butner, he cried and said that I'm worried you're going to go up the hill, which was the Butner Sector, and start using. And 2 months later, boom, I did. And I got it under control, and I did Suboxone. So Suboxone entered the Bureau of Prisons, I think 2012. I did it the first time, and on and off. You know, there was long periods of off, but I did it for sure. Good for you, dude. Get rid of that crap and take less as you can when you're. Yeah, for sure. And also because hold on, I'm gonna say this. Get rid of that crap. Also because first question my wife asked me was, "When you okay?" Yeah, kind of opiates they give you. First thing, and I made that promise, so and I kept it. So that's the truth. Anyway, so yeah. Anything else, Johnny?
No, not much. I'm
Oh yeah, go on.
it's you know, the video was tough to look at, man, but you know, you can you dealt with it, and that's that. You know what I mean? Like I've done some horrific stuff on YouTube too, man. I've privatized the videos. We've done some crazy shit on here that we all regret. It's no harm done, man. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world, brother.
Well, like I said, right now, I tell you the truth. So, you know, like I said, I was looking for, we were talking about addiction. I've thought about this. I even talked about doing this back in the summer and a couple times, and I didn't. And I thought about it more in the last couple of weeks. I was going to do it before I went to court. You know, like one of the last videos before, I thought I was going to go in for 3 years. And then when that girl said that in your chat or on your panel, it was like bingo. And now, and I can't lie to you and say that right now I'm not feeling like, you know, weird inside. By the way, who just said this? Let me say this. Let me go back up here. Smoke weed. Where's this guy? Okay, here we go. Just smoke weed, dude. Everything else is crap. Won't venture ruin you. Okay, so just smoke weed. So that brings up a different question before. When I got out of prison, I had a friend that just keeps a vape in his mouth. I'm not putting him down. I mean, it's works for him. And I'll never forget him saying, you know, dude, just keep clean, get off paper, and just smoke weed. You know, and the weed nowadays is a lot stronger than when I went in. Blah blah blah. And I remember saying to him, I don't want to smoke weed. Like I'm not going to do anything. Now, I drank, like I said, but I didn't foresee that. Plus, Marta was coming to save me from myself. I guess I said many times, and I just never ever thought about drugs. I swear to God, especially methamphetamine. Man, I haven't done meth since I think I did it in What did I do meth? I did some meth in the early 2000s, and in prison, opiates is everything. Because you can be anywhere you want, you're on opiates, and it's like you know, you're good. It doesn't matter if you have a life sentence, you know. And prison opiate and shots are different than on the street, of course. I didn't do them and not out. It was like, so I'm probably a little hyperactive. Opiates will bring me up. Coke and meth bring me down. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So, but meth, doing it in prison, oh my God, it was great while you were doing it. As soon as you come down, I felt like I had 20 life sentences. I was never going to get out. So it was terrible even thinking about. And the first time I did it was after midnight. I was somewhere. I've said it before, but I'm not going to do that now. And the person said, come here in the bedroom, and said, here. I thought it was a crack pipe. I said, what the hell are you smoking crack for? Like, crack is whack, what he used to say. And it's been, man, I've got also a little heart issue that crack always really threw my heart out of rhythm. Meth does it for whatever reason. But anyway, and I never smoked it, never saw a meth pipe. And the person said, just try it. And I said, well, what for? And I said, I don't want to stay up. And the person replied, well, you can go to sleep on it. I said, what the hell would I do meth for? You know, hour later, more hard liquor in me. And I took 3 hits. That's what I did. That's all. I shouldn't say that's all. So my pattern was Thursdays. After my wife came a few months, it would be on every Thursday, 3 hits for almost a year. And then, well, not a little less than that, because when I started doing the urine test, and then I started beating them intentionally, like putting together some formula, that was the trigger too. But it was always 3 hits, no more. And that was like, I thought that was like, and in the end, it's like, try to blow up my heart. You know what I mean? Got worse. It's not
Sure.
funny. And then I can't do it alone. Then I mix weed, alcohol, and I mix. I mix, and that's been a pattern. But that was the pattern before April for sure. Things have changed since that first court hearing. Although I have relapsed, but things definitely nothing like that. Oh, and I was going to say this earlier. When I went to jail, went to the Washington County Jail, I did stuff before I went in, including fentanyl, and I was an intake, and they put me on they asked me if I'd taken anything. Of course I didn't, and I faded out on them like a couple times, and they thought like that I was going out. It took me 5 days. I couldn't remember a phone number. Of course, with technology and iPhones and stuff, you don't memorize stuff anymore. I couldn't remember not one person's phone number. 5 days. And finally, I closed my eyes and I went back to federal prison and started like making up a little like in my mind. And that's how I started remembering telephone numbers. But I was lethargic. My motor skills were like, if I was putting a spoon to my face, I would like hit the side of my. Never have I been in that condition in my life. Never. And I will say that prior to going to jail, when I relapsed, when I went to Harbor House, the drug 28 April on the first time, and I relapsed, I think it was the 59th day. They say that when you get clean and use again, you do more. Let me tell you something. I got caught, and I've said this just a few days ago, I got caught in an ice storm down in this town. And when you leave Fort Smith and go to South Sebastian County, they don't scrape roads. It's mountainous, hilly, and the town was shut down, everything. I had a side-by-side. I did have I had some pills, or had access to some fentanyl pills, I should say. And another person had some meth, and I'd take my side-by-side and I'd slide back and forth for 4 days. As high as I mean, till my heart almost blew, and then I'd taper it down with fentanyl. Then I'd go so low. 4 days on that roller coaster, and then 3 days laying on the ground with alcohol. 7 days total. 3 days on the ground, drink myself to sleep, wake up, drink myself back, go to the bathroom, whatever. For 7 days. Worst I've never used like that in my life. And then the thing with the Xanax, but the quantity, but the Xanax is what, knocked me out. And then, of course, I went to New Mexico and I did that fentanyl. And I've never been incarcerated so wasted. And, I slept on the floor for a day. And then the Mexicans, I'm from California, so I hung out, not the white dudes in the beginning, the Mexicans, because they gave me a bottom bunk. They saw what shape I was in, and the dudes were from California. And, I've been around Serenos and Mexicans a lot my whole life. And yeah, they got me a bunk so I took a bit out of pain. Good night. All right. So anyway, you guys. All right, Kimmy, thanks for showing up too. All right. So I'll see how I feel about this when I click off. I don't know. I'll see about it tomorrow when I'm like, what the fuck have I done? And somebody that I respect sent me some messages like, what the fuck are you doing? And I get what he's saying. I've known him since he was a kid, and he's like, I can't believe you just did this, Rob. But I get it. But anyway, Johnny.
If you want to privatize it, man. I mean, it's not the,
No. I'm gonna let it run. Like I said, it's court record. If it wasn't, but bro, you just got way too hard. Do you do everything in life to extremes, not just drugs, but life work to extremes and such? So, Mike, the way I got off drugs when I was in prison, I used for 10 years. Prison was a party to me the first 10 years. Not every time, but I was drowning out the reality of my life sentence. But when I got clean, what I did was I got addicted to writing. So I channeled my addictions to writing. When I got out of prison, I had like I had a lot of shit lined up. I was writing for Vice before I left. I was writing, Oh, by the way, the History Channel, I've got a segment coming out about Leavenworth, talking about the partying on the drugs in Leavenworth, and I think it's either going to be next week or within the next 3 weeks. I don't know the date yet. But they came out here to the house, and I did that for Morgan Freeman's production company. I forgot the name of it now. They did offer me a gig talking about other prisons and stuff. And of course, like everything else, I didn't follow through. And that's the truth too. And it's crazy because in prison, my word was everything. And out here, I just fucking, I mean, I have good intentions, but I guess the dope and the drinking or what, the wallowing in my self-pity, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to say. You guys see me on YouTube. I've overpromised a million times, and and I think about it a lot. That's the truth. But the upside of the story is I'm still alive, even with the medical stuff and all that. And I don't want to use the word hope, but I get tired of lying to myself. Mike, prison's easier to get drugs in on the street, and it's easy to get drugs on the street. In most prisons, on a lot of federal prisons, every prison has its day. I was at Lewisburg when it was like a rehab for a minute, but yes, prisons are flooded with drugs. And real quick on that note, K2 and Suboxone predominantly when I left, and it was during COVID, the COVID pandemic, and we were all locked down. The warden came through and said that he didn't care. That's why I started drinking. I didn't drink for almost 10 years. I started drinking during COVID in the last year before I got out waiting on my compassionate release. And first it was once a week, and it was 3 days a week, and that's tomato paste, wine, whatever we got our hands on. The warden gave us the okay, just don't kill each other. K2 was the drug that was saturated. That was the most popular drug, followed by Suboxone. I never did it. I took a hit off K2. I think it was crazy. I just did nothing for me. But the amounts of money people were making in prison, my neighbors were making $20,000 to $30,000 a month. The money was going on their books, the prison books. Okay. Now people probably lose their mind over that shit. This is why. It depends on first the U.S. attorney in that district. The drug thing, the drug goes like this. Every 20, 30 years, the pendulum swings. Get tough, get tough, get tough. Reform, reform, reform. We're in a little bit of a quagmire, I guess you'd say right now, because fentanyl, we never got the reforms that were coming because fentanyl, and now they're trying to make the drug laws harder again. Fentanyl is going to lead the charge on that. But if the U.S. attorney doesn't want to prosecute, then it trickles into the prison. And I'm not advocating for U.S. attorneys to prosecute prison drug cases. Okay. So don't get me wrong. But what happens is, and I know this firsthand, then the prison, the SIS or the institutional cops, whatever you want to say, the investigators, they then say, okay, well, if they're not prosecuting, then we're not going to give as many drug tests. Drug tests usually lead to bigger busts. You got guys that don't want to get hit on a dirty go to the hole for a few days. So they tell on people. Well, what happens then if a prison is then, if the staff, if they're constantly guys going to the hole for dope, then the region above them looks at them and goes, what the hell's going on in your prison? Well, the U.S. attorney doesn't want to do nothing, so they're not prosecuting drug cases. That's how it works. So then they turn a blind eye. So then they know everybody. You live in a bubble. They know 99% of who's doing what, and they know the big players. And what they look at is, okay, is the big player a threat to the safety and security of the facility? Meaning, will he owe somebody money and then go do something? Is he in a gang? Is he hiding it from his gang? Whatever. Okay. And if the person is not a threat to them, they'll let them rock and roll. Because they figure, okay, somebody else is going to do it if this guy doesn't do it. That's how it works, people. Maybe I'm not going to be popular for putting it out there, but I have before. But that's how it works. And it makes sense because if you're head of the investigative service and your hands are kind of tied, so to speak, and you don't want to bring scrutiny down in your prison because the regional get on your ass, the central office gets on their ass, it just trickles up. It's like, okay, everything's good here, people. We got no drug problem, Or they'll come and say, hey, we're going to be drug tested next few days, cleanup. That's what they do. That's how it works. That's the reality of the prison system. She's getting inside, but never that level. This has got to be by design with the blessed power. Okay, so guards do bring it in. K2 for a long time was coming through the mail. Everybody knows this. I'm not putting it. I don't put out stuff in this channel that people don't know about in prison. I have said a few conversations that I regretted that were private, but in general, if you can go on Snapchat or Insta, all those stuff, you'll see people bring cell phones in prison and they record all this shit.
There's other prison channels, bro, that talk about that constantly. So
so
you're not
like
revealing anything that's not
I'm not getting people arrested. I will say that I said something about one guy, I think he just died, who was a murderer. His son's friends reached out to me pissed off. And what I did do is I said that so they're trying to say he was innocent of all his people that he killed and cut up. And he used to brag about it. I was like, that was like his thing. He had a sixth sense of humor, and he was talking about like what he would say to the bodies when he chopped them up. Like he would chop them up, and Johnny's from your area. He'd chop them up, and he would like, let's say, cut their member off and put it in their mouth and say, "Hey, dick sucker." When they were, and I'm laughing because I got a sixth sense of humor from being in prison too. But I'm listening, I'm thinking about his voice because he would tell these stories. You know what I mean? And I put that out there. Well, he had a fucking compassionate release pending. So, the prosecutors look at this stuff. So that made me pause. Now, he was not going to get out. I hate to put it that way, okay? But it made me say, okay, I used to talk shit about different guys. This guy did this and that. It did make me stop and look and see if they had court filings or anything like that. So I could not hurt them, even if I did not like them.
Right.
So I've learned a few lessons, but anything I will, and I don't mind, and I don't care what people say. Your rat did it. Yeah, this rat was offered 2 years and didn't tell on one person. So I did my time. The stuff that's happening in prisons is out there. Yes, some people don't know a lot about stuff, but it's out there. If somebody in prison's doing something and the prison knows about it, people in the prison, it's public knowledge. Okay, that's the way I look at it. So that's my take, and I've said it before, and I don't know why I'm in, because I guess the comment. But anyway, I'm gonna go. Johnny, been here a long time.
All right, man. Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I know some of Anyway, take care, and
See you guys.
Bye. Okay, Johnny, I'm going.